Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on Winsight Live. This morning at Winsight Grocery Business, a couple of stories that you may find. BJs Wholesale Club, which is hinted at but not identified, a new market it intends to open in 2021, appears to be headed toward Pittsburgh. That would be the first stores in that market for them. The company has not confirmed this yet. However, there's been some reports that they are to present today in front of a planning board for a stores in a new shopping center that's south of the city. There's been other reports of their interest in a site just north of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh makes sense for them. They've evidently been looking at that market for many number of years. And of course, last year, successful at a leap for them going all the way out to suburban Detroit, and would match their, stated intentions of being able to grow faster and grow into new markets, partially as a result of the turmoil in the larger retail market due to the coronavirus. Also this morning, a new store from Vallarta Supermarkets in the San Joaquin Valley town of Madera, California. They're a Hispanic chain with a high service offering, Phil.
So, John, what's interesting to me is you talk about all these new stores that are opening. And, as everybody knows, we've been spending the past 3 days with a whole bunch of retail dietitians. I'm hearing from them that their chains are proceeding, opening, but they're also hesitant about what kind of services that they're actually going to be able to provide. So, if I get into the mind of the CEO of a chain store and I'm building stores today, what do I do? Do I build a store that's going to be, representative of what consumer needs are in a year from now or 2 years from now? Or do I build a store that meets the needs of today with social distancing, with plexiglass barriers and so on? I mean, if we think long term, I've got to add a lot of extra money and thought to how I operate today. And if I build it today, in 5 years from now, it's going to look different. So I've just got to think that these people are very, very confused.
Well, I mean, it's like a lot of stuff going on, as you mentioned, right? I think a lot of the sort of built up stores that tend to come, and we're entering that time of year when we're going to see a lot of stores open before the holidays. These things were already in motion, and there's very little they can do to stop it. But we've actually seen a lot of activity really over the summer. I know Jen and Kat might be talking about some today. Of a lot of new stores in the market. A company like Earth Fare is 12 stores already in the first couple of months of their quote unquote comeback. And again, the opportunities are there to kind of get the sites like never before, because real estate's in such a mess due to all the retail bankruptcies of non-food guys. So a lot of opportunity out there. And I think that, look, the supermarket companies were very fast. In retrospect, they put up plexiglass in those stores, like, flash. And that's pretty impressive. You know what I mean? Maybe adding that to the blueprints of a coming store maybe isn't all that difficult, but yeah, it's something to keep in mind.
And you still have to have the labor to do it, and you still have to have the plexiglass. I mean, just to give you one example, we use a particular company that makes awards where we give out, awards throughout the year. Those awards are made of, a very thick plexiglass. They stopped their entire, work and just worked on retail plexiglass shields, for like 3 months. That's all that they did. So everybody shifted. So let's talk a little bit. You're talking about new stores. Jen, what's going on with Giant Eagle?
Well, this isn't a new store, but it's a new program that they're doing. They're partnering with FlyBuy by Radius Networks on a contactless kind of elevated curbside pickup program. Giant Eagle actually converted 3 stores to dedicated curbside pickup centers And then they're rolling out this FlyBuy location technology through their mobile app at all of the locations where they offer Giant Eagle curbside pickup. And so what the technology does is locates, kind of tracks the customer and alerts the store on their progress so that they've got a really solid, read on the arrival time of that guest. So what the Giant Eagle says that it's transformed their curbside pickup program, because it not only does it mean that, customers are waiting for their orders, for very little time, if at all, but also the team members can then have those, they can prioritize the orders and have them ready to go when they know that customer is going to be showing up.
So I'm assuming that that's basically, GPS on a cell phone. I want to say it was probably even about 2 years ago. I was talking to Randy Edeker at Hy-Vee, and what they did for curbside was not as sophisticated. They might have switched since, but they actually had technology that would identify your license plate number as you drove into the parking lot, and that's when they knew that somebody should go from outside. And this is before pre-COVID, that somebody should bring out your groceries. A lot of the Hy-Vees, they almost look like the old burger joints where you pull up the car and there's a little awning above it and so on. So they would identify when somebody's coming into the parking lot. A lot of Hy-Vees have very big parking lots, and it would notify somebody inside to bring out your groceries, and they'd be waiting for you, and then just pop them in your car. I mean, so many of these technologies, especially from the likes of IBM, we've had around for 10, 15 years. It's just that whether it was the supermarket or whether or not it was the consumer, we weren't ready for them yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's more necessary now and continues to be so, because just curbside has absolutely exploded. We referenced that Mercatus Incisive survey the other day, and that found that 52% of shoppers prefer curbside, and fewer prefer delivery, which I was kind of surprised. I mean, curbside pickup is preferred over both delivery and in-store pickup. And
sorry.
Yeah, and Radius Networks, who's Giant Eagle's using their FlyBuy technology. They're saying that some grocery retailers have seen as much of a 500% increase in order volume for curbside pickup. And that's expected to, these elevated numbers are expected to continue through the holiday season.
Yeah,
See, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised about curbside versus delivery. I would say that 1 out of every 3 times that I get delivery, I'm disappointed. Either I have to wait too long, either I get a message that they're lost. I mean, there are just so many human errors in delivery for me that curbside, as it's become more sophisticated, I think is a much stronger way to go. And let's not forget that with delivery, most of the people, it's a part-time job. They're filling in. They're just looking for some extra cash. Here in California, we have this big battle over whether or not they're, employees, and we're seeing all these TV commercials of these really nice people that are saying, I want to be an independent contractor. I already have a job, and it's just getting overly complicated. John, I'm sorry, you were going to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, my point here was, the industry's in sort of a transition here. The fact that consumers like curbside is good news for grocers because it's much more efficient than delivering it themselves. But I think, as you pointed out, both curbside, if you kind of read the reviews and what the employees are saying on the Reddits and those places, and delivery have some execution issues and can be chaotic. So solutions like the one Giant Eagle's using, Albertsons is doing a similar thing with a company called Glimpse. Walmart famously ran that out at Sam's Club a couple of years ago, and they're thrilled with how it works because it kind of helps to manage that chaos that is possible when people are pulling their cars into the front of the thing and honking on their horns.
Yeah.
Where are my groceries?
I know Target
it scares me a little bit with Big Brother type stuff, but on the Target app, you just say, I'm on my way to the store, and then it tracks you. And I think the last 2 times I've done pickup at Target, they were there waiting for me. And so they knew when I was pulling into the parking lot. And so I just pull in and they're like, are you Kat? And I'm like, yes, I am. And, you know, away we went. So it was very seamless and very easy if consumers are willing to give up that type of information. And typically I'm not, but I'm like, if it makes it this easy, yeah, you can track my car when I'm driving to your store. That's fine with me.
And
Kat,
also,
were you able to buy groceries when you were at Target for that drive-through event?
I haven't tried the grocery pickup at Target, but I know in Chicago it is now available. So it would probably be just as seamless. Whether or not they do that with groceries that maybe have to be refrigerated, I don't know, but it really was super easy.
Interesting.
you know, the other thing that I'm always concerned about, and you guys know me well enough to know that I'm a little OCD on whatever spectrum that is. But from a food safety standpoint, I really would like to go out to the car and see how clean or dirty the car is that the person's delivering my groceries. I mean, seriously, it's food. And you know, I order a lot of produce and fresh foods and stuff like that. You know, how clean is that car? You know, are there any safety standards that either shipped or Instacart or any of these other delivery services have instituted to make sure that, I mean, I get that little thing that says, oh yeah, my groceries are being delivered and they're temperature controlled by the time I get it. I've given up ordering ice cream and some frozen foods as a result, because whenever I get them, they're not temperature controlled. I'm sorry. That box of frozen dinner, it's wet, it's mushy. So they're lying to me, and probably just me. I'm the only one they're lying to. But you know, before we go on, I want to ask all of you, because it's Family Meals Month. FMI created Family Meals Month a few years ago and stuff like that. During the pandemic, what has been your favorite family meal that you've had? You know, and not necessarily just September when it's Family Meals Month, but what about the rest of the time since COVID? Jen, what's been your favorite family meal?
You know, I do a lot of cooking, so I'm kind of burned out. Like I'm feeling like I'm so sick of my repertoire of meals.
Yeah.
I need to expand. But I think, you know, in terms of experience, it's been now that my kids have, you know, they've been kind of cautiously starting to be able to do a little get-togethers with their friends. And so it's been like when we've had a meal where their friends were there too, and, you know, we all sit around the table. That's been fun.
And John, family meal for you?
Yeah, Phil, interesting enough, and we may have even mentioned this on one of these early shows that we did, but the three of us, my wife and my son, we stuck eating at home every day. We thought we would kind of spice things up, and we did random drawings of countries where we would
I remember.
get food for which we would consume. And none of us are great cooks, but we're all kind of fun with it. So like my son got, I can't remember, Africa or something, and made some kind of goat stew, which was actually pretty good. And I did a South American sandwich, which is called a chivito, I think, from Uruguay, which is a bread with ham, with steak, with a fried egg, with mayonnaise. It was a little bit much, so we kind of reeled back on this kind of high cholesterol, high fat thing, because I would have been way too enormous here to continue. But that's been fun, and we're all kind of blown out from it too.
And Kat?
I don't have a family, so nothing changed for me.
You're
it was just me in my apartment. That was it.
That was it. So Kat, talk to us about a conversation you just had with Nick from Rosie.
Yeah, so Nick and I chatted last week, and he had a lot of really great things to say.
But one of the main things that kind of stuck out to me is his take is that shopping behaviors have been forever changed. So people are not going to go back to the way they were shopping before. But for retailers, what this really means is, what does Q4 look like? You know, we have the holidays coming up. Those were typically the biggest shopping sales weeks of the year. So what's going to happen this year? You know, families may not be able to get together like they have in the past. They still will want to make the holiday special. And so they may be looking to grocery retailers in order to kind of serve that need, whether it's, you know, on Thanksgiving meals delivered or picked up from their store, or just looking to them for ideas. Like Jen said, she's tired of her repertoire. So what else can they do to kind of shake up their holiday meals? And then he also had some interesting insights about what a second surge of COVID-19 may look like. You know, at the beginning of the pandemic, e-commerce sales just skyrocketed, and they skyrocketed everywhere. It didn't really matter where in the country you were, they just took off. But now the e-commerce platform is starting to see that those spikes in e-commerce sales are more geographically located. So they're located where the hotspots are, which, you know, right now is West Coast, Midwest. So those places are really starting to take off. And that might be something that retailers need to start, you know, paying attention to, as to where those hotspots are. But he does think, like he said, behaviors are changed completely. So before the pandemic, retailers may have seen 1% to 3% of their sales coming from e-commerce. And he predicts that it's going to be close to 10 to 15% in the future. He's seen low customer churn for his clients. So once people start to use e-commerce, they're sticking with it, which kind of just proves his point that, you know, things aren't going to go back. And older people have adopted e-commerce too, which was kind of, you know, we thought it was all millennials, but now with the pandemic, you know, the over 55s have really started to use this service as well.
So, Kat, I want to go back to your holiday comment from him, and also Jen and John, please chime in on this. I guess what I've been thinking about too, especially on Thanksgiving, where in the past periods of time, you would go into a store and you'd see huge turkeys. I mean, huge turkeys. Now that we're not going to have all this family around, now that we're not going to have all these friends, we're still going to see huge turkeys. I mean, the turkey industry can't turn on a dime and all of a sudden make little turkeys, you know, turkeys for 2 or 3 or 4. Do we think that turkey sales this year are going to be vastly different, and there's going to be less people buying turkeys just because the physical size of a turkey? Because before we would say, oh, I'm going to have a turkey and then I'll have a turkey sandwich the next day and then I'll have turkey, you know, something for 2 days. Now I'm going to have turkey for like 2 weeks. What am I going to do with that? What do you guys think?
Turkey's an interesting topic every Thanksgiving, you know, and I think you raised some really good questions, which I don't know the answer to. But there's a couple of ways to look at sort of how the retailers approach, you know, that season. It's usually one of their best, you know, weeks of the year, not because the turkey, which they often give away at a loss, but all the things that go around that meal, and the fact that they're serving, instead of, you know, their family, they're serving their extended family that day. So I wish I had a better insight into sort of how they're going to handle this, but it's something I'm definitely looking at.
Recipes for using leftover turkey.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was gonna say retailers.
that should be what retailers are doing.
100 ways to use your turkey.
Yeah, we also have a question on Winsight Grocery Business Facebook from Chuck Sween. What are our thoughts in COVID impact for holiday grocery shopping? Will families be gathering in large groups that require large meals? Exactly what we're talking about. One of our retail dietitians just about an hour ago was talking about a party that she was invited to at someone's home. And the good news is that she lives in the South versus the North. And what this person had done is they set up, it was for 3 couples, what they had done is they set up 3 different far away stations, if you were, tables in their backyard, so that people could still be together but safe distance. So, I mean, that's a possibility. Jen has a big backyard. She can invite us all over, and we all have our different tables with a bottle of wine on each, and so on. And they had put the food on the table before the people came. So, I mean, I think that's one way to do it. But Chuck, my opinion, and we'll go around the table here. My opinion is that holiday grocery shopping down this year, down considerably this year. Jen, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of quantity of food, but I don't know. Then if everyone's buying for their their smaller individual households, doesn't that all
Balance it out.
the same amount of food?
Same amount of people need to eat. So
right.
Well,
but
that's a good
I
point.
love that idea, Phil. But I think you're going to have to host, because I live in Colorado and it's cold, and John's in
Okay. Come on over. Come on over.
Yeah, that'd be nice. We have no plans for Thanksgiving at this point. Maybe my wife's parents, depending on the situation where they live.
Yep.
And how they're feeling and everything else. So we're going to low key it this year, and our holiday plans over the Christmas holiday are also sort of in flux, depending on sort of how things are at that point. I think there's a lot to find out still.
for sure.
yeah, I think, to Jen's earlier point, there's a lot of burnout. So even if, there's going to be the smaller gatherings, people may not want to cook. This may be an opportunity for retailers to really use their prepared foods department that took a huge hit in the pandemic, and be able to say, hey, you're burned out, let us help you. You may not be getting together with your family, extended family this year, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a nice meal, and maybe use up some of those turkeys that are going to go unsold on the retail side and the food service side. And maybe gain a little bit more profit margin than they may have just trying to rely on strictly groceries for the holidays.
Yeah, smart idea. Smart idea. And so, Jen, let's head back to New Jersey. We've talked a lot about New Jersey, my birth state, over the past few weeks. What's going on in Wayne, New Jersey now?
Yeah, so we talked a number of episodes ago about sort of the grocery scene in New Jersey heating up, in Wayne specifically, and both Trader Joe's and Whole Foods were opening new stores there. So the Wayne Whole Foods store opened, and from the photos, we've got a slideshow up on our website. You can check it out. It looks like another beautifully merchandised store. I mean, the produce department, it looks like they've created a wall of produce where they've merchandised it vertically, but stacked really high. I mean, it's a really impactful merchandising in the produce area. And then there's they've got like thousands of local products that are well marked from hundreds of local suppliers. The meat department is so palatial, it's hard, it looks enormous in the photo. And again, locally grass-fed, beef and whatnot. And then seafood department, same thing, beautifully merchandised. It looks like a great store. It'll be heating up the competition in Wayne.
Yeah, we're showing up the slideshow that meat department, the seafood department. I agree with you. It all looks great. The prepared foods and so on. Now that one is a local. Yeah, go back, Tony, to the other one, the local, if you can. Oh, okay. Sorry, that's right. We've got a few second. Yeah. Okay. I'll be quiet. So Jen, no good news from you today, but Kat, why don't you give us some good news?
Yeah. So I know we've talked a lot about Brookshire's Grocery out of Tyler, Texas, and they've been doing a lot of great things during the pandemic. But their latest is they have established the Focus on the Future Scholarship Fund. So what they've done is they have given $1 million to 40 colleges and universities throughout Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas, where their stores are located, to help fund scholarships for students. And it's going to be based on need and their leadership. Like if they have done good things in the community. And it's all, it goes back to one of their founding pillars, which is to have results driven with a future focus. So they really want to help these students become the community leaders of tomorrow in order to keep driving those communities that they operate in forward. So, I mean, I think that's pretty great that
Fabulous.
they're looking to the future and helping to fund that for students in need.
That's fabulous. Thanks for sharing that. So thank you all for joining us today. Again, you know what I'm going to say. It's, archives on Winsight Grocery Business, on Restaurant Business, on CSP, and on Supermarket Guru. We'll be back here on Tuesday and Thursday next week, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great weekend. Be safe. And as my buddy says, wear a mask.